We have this term that we talk about. We have a few friends that we call this, and I really think you fit in this category. We call them like the sleepless elite.
Okay.
Because I just feel like there's some people who can like party and travel and go out and then like will get their work done no matter what. And like I'll see that you'll wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And so that you can like get the work done, plan stuff out, get stuff scheduled, then you'll go ski. I just like, where do you get that like drive?
I think I'm like finding more balance now because it used to actually be a bit of an issue, or I felt it becoming an issue because I've taken on so many responsibilities in the last couple of years. Like I started a podcast 2 years ago. I've taken a little more of like an influencer seat where I do like brand deals and like
Mhm.
post a lot of my life on Raw and Rebellious, and like we do hoodies now and I do pop up. Like I'm just taking on a lot of roles. So I found myself getting a little obsessive with productivity where like I would guilt myself and I like couldn't have stillness. Like I couldn't do anything that I didn't deem productive. Like to me, journaling's productive. Like
Yeah.
catching up with a friend is productive because it makes me happy. But like just going for a walk, like without my phone, like for my mental health, like wasn't productive. Skiing, I deem productive. Like just this weird mental thing. And so I think I'm trying to like take a step back and find more balance. And I talked to my therapist about this with like figuring out like your pillar values and then deciding like, okay, is posting on TikTok every day, does that feed into like my like 5 core values? Okay, maybe it doesn't right now. So let me shift my focus to like creating reels for my podcast to grow that, like we were talking about earlier. Um, so as far as like fitting everything in and like having that motivation, and y'all can probably attest to this, like this podcast is your baby, your businesses are your
Mhm.
baby. So you love it and care about it so much. And the more love you put into it, the more it's going to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you experience burnout. Like there are times when like things are going fucking amazing. Sales are great. Podcast numbers are great. You're feeling really inspired. And there's other times where you are just like burnt out as fuck and like things aren't doing well. Money isn't good. Like it comes in waves. But I would say like I love it so much, genuinely, and there's parts that I hate, but for the most part,
Yeah.
I love it, and, like, me waking up at 5 a.m. is so that I can go ski, which I love so much.
Mhm.
So, I like, that's kind of how I think of it in my head, and, like, I do really prioritize sleep, and I feel like I do it in spurts, like, we were talking about earlier, I was asked y'all if you love, like, being on the road and, like, traveling all the time or if you prefer more of, like, a home base, and you're like, "Well, I like going out and doing things and then coming back to my home," and that's kinda how I am too.
Mhm.
Like, I'm fine going for, like, 2 or 3 months and, like, backpacking, traveling, whatever, and kind of, like, living chaotically, but it's because I can, like, compartmentalize, and I know that this is gonna end at some point, so I'm just gonna, like, not think about it stressing me out. I, like, can think about it not stressing me out, and I just put it to a different portion of my brain, and then I can, like, turn my brain on and, like, sit down and, like, hammer it out later. So I don't know if that answers your question, but like
Yeah.
I think I find the motivation just because I love it so much and growing it is what excites me. Like, of course, money is like amazing and you need it to grow, but I feel like my motivator is really how far I can
Yeah.
grow it and like what product I can make and like what will really like hit a vein with people and like what events I can have to like meet more people and like grow our community.
Yeah, you have
Um
such community. That's like the coolest thing.
it's
It's not
so
just like
fun.
I think like a lot of people call themselves a lifestyle brand and they have the lifestyle brand kind of built on Instagram, but like not like the hardcore community
Right.
that you really have like grown.
I was gonna say that earlier too. It's where I don't feel like you're just throwing that word out. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
I just started saying that in the last like year.
mhm.
Because one of my friends was like, because I didn't say that on the podcast in my intro, and she was like, you should call Raw and Rebellious like a lifestyle brand. And I never
Mhm.
thought about it like that, but really like the community
Mhm.
and like people talk about that, like you said, but like genuinely, like
Yeah.
I like all the DMs that I get, I answer every single day. Before I even answer like the text on my phone, I answer my DMs. And like these girls tell me everything about their lives. There's one girl that DM me and she's like, I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while, but I've just been like really stressed with work and like, and I've never even met her. But like
Yeah.
people feel like they know me because I share so much about my life. And one thing I hate is posting stories. Like I sit down and do it for like an hour a day. And like
Oh.
I dread it because it just takes so much time and then it disappears. But what I like about it is that it like connects me with my community and then people
Completely.
respond or feel related to her. They're like, oh my God, I did this. Or like, oh my God, your to-do list. Like they just get an insight into my life and then I can like form those genuine friendships. And it's not transactional. It's like I have people that I talk to DMs or talk with in DMs for like 4 years. And then after year 4, they're like, oh my God, I just bought like my first thing from you. Like, I'm so excited. And I don't think of it like, what the fuck? Like, you haven't been supporting me, because the support comes from just like responding to stories or putting in
Mhm.
Sunday scaries, or, I mean, that's why I started a podcast, was to like really further that lifeline with the community. And like, that's where the like reward aspect is for me. So I think that's where I can like find the motivation.